I'm going to be discussing several topics that I think could be confusing for a lot of people. Um, First topic is the old software that still, man, can still uses um, relatively obsolete um, computers. Not like super obsolete, like maybe obsolete a few years ago. So, um, also, video sharing websites that are not the most popular. Um, like Dailymotion, for example. Um, it's just that it's just that these are it's just that a lot of people they tend to, it's like somebody might try to talk them out of. It's not because these activities are, like it. For example, there's some like if you go around to a thrift store, there's a bunch of stuff that um there's a ton of items that aren't sold, not because of not because they can't be sold, but because the employees there don't want them in the store because of personal preference. So, um, so for example, these file sharing websites of software that are, for the most part nobody uses, like, you know, exe files of software that like, made like 10 years ago or something, 5, 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, you all right. So what was the other? All right, I'm going to discuss a different topic, which is a very particular product. Called mango chunks. It's frozen, and it's from a very it's it's called Kroger brand. Now, a lot of people may not understand. Now, it's easy for you to understand the description of but they're not understanding, the circumstance of um you, you know like it's hard to explain. So what's the other one? The other topic was a very specific um uh, person on a very specific TV show. And I'm like, well, like there's so many different people. Why focus on that one? So it's just that. All right, it's just that to understand the dynamics of um, what makes a show appealing to a certain type of person is it's just like there can be endless permutations of you know of it, which is like endless permutations, and you can't really focus on all of them. So and that's the thing, because grocery stores are really big. They're not like the old mom and pop stores from like 50 years ago or even earlier than that, right around the Great Depression era. So, all right, let's focus on the other topic, which is, um, I think it's called carnitas, which is pork with rice and beans sold in these Mexican uh delivery no, not delivery food trucks. Um, it's just like it's just that you're walking around the city, and sometimes you see these. A lot of people might complain of the food quality, even if it doesn't, even if it technically passes the health inspection. They just have, maybe they just don't like the person that and the type of person that is employed there, which is probably more likely the case, less likely because of any other reason. All right, the other topic is let's see, a very specific beef product that made from very specific beef ingredients, and it's just like it's one of those fancy foods that if you go to a restaurant, if you ever find a very specific, it would probably be at least $25, $30, maybe more. And it's just like, in contrast, in fast food, maybe it would be no more than $7. So there's a clear difference, even though the difference in taste may, the variation of what is considered delicious may differ from different types of customers. So, what's the other topic? All right, rotisserie chicken sold in Kroger grocery stores. It's just like, well, what's the difference between it being sold in Kroger versus a different type of grocery? Because there's so many different grocery stores. For someone who's traveled to multiple states and countries, probably would probably would have a list of at least 10 different grocery stores if they were to write it down. That's and I'm only discussing. I only mentioned two different grocery stores, and it may even be more than 10. For the frequent traveler, they may have, if they were to write it down, maybe up to 20 or 30, and that's like I could probably list maybe three, you know, um, around around three grocery stores, maybe even half a dozen. So that's clearly the variation can be at the just so it's just like it's just very specific about. I mean, if you were to design a clothing store, you know, it would and make a list of thousands of ideas of what picture to put on the shirt, right? For the graphic shirt, there's like thousands of different designs, hundreds of, not hundreds of thousands, hopefully not that much, but at least up to 10,000 of different designs. You have to pick up to 50, and no more, or maybe 100, right? And I'm like, that's like less than 1%. And it's like, what are you supposed to focus on, right? And with books, you can maybe have up to 500, right? For a particular, if you were to have the store and you have up to 500. But I'm not talking about bookstores or libraries. I'm talking about like just the corporate department stores. They're not bookstores. So in that case, you can have up to 500 different books. And it's just like with clothes, you can have up to about 100 different pictures on the shirt or whatnot. So and that's again less than 1%. It's like you have to. It's like a very selective college admission. It's like you have to reject 99%, or not 99. Harvard's acceptance rate, Stanford, MIT, is around 5%. Yeah, so you reject 95% of that, right? With the department store, they have to reject 99% of the picture designs. So it's less than one. It's like a 1% acceptance rate. Think of it that way. It's like, but the thing is, um, all right. So let's discuss the other topic, which is the idea. There's a character named Seto Kaiba, and um, um, it's just like that's one character out of one TV show. Actually, multiple TV shows. Out of how many TV shows exist? Thousands. And how many characters? The average number of characters for each TV show, let's say, is 10, 15, right? So 10, 15 times thousands. Um, there's clearly more than 1,000 TV shows that exist. So you could say, well, why focus on that one character out of essentially millions of different, TV show characters, or actually millions at TV shows and movies? And it's just like, why focus on that one character, out of all the different characters in all the shows? Anyway, so let's see. It, so what's the point here? The point is, when you focus on good and evil, um, certain things would take higher precedence than others. Um, said that less than 1% acceptance rate is quite. It's like, if at the end of the day, the grocery store employee, which is not like the lower level, the person that's in charge of it is like a higher level business executive, like probably get paid at least six figures, probably even more than six figures. Um, at the end of the day, that person gets paid, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, it might matter, of course it matters. It will affect, the the news and the current events and the future and who gets, you know, it will affect those things. At the end of the day, they get paid, and for ultimately they only have 24 hours a day, just like most everybody. So,